So it really doesn't matter how gorgeous these pink gompphrenas are behind me, they have to go. Early in the season when I planted all my petunias, my persimmon and the purple petunias and the new Super Belle Mini Vista yellow petunias, they were absolutely gorgeous, and I'll share pictures with you of when I planted them. However, I like a more formal look in this area, my front yard, and I do have some gorgeous Sprinter boxwoods that I have in the back, and I do have this lovely Japanese maple, and then I have two spiral boxwoods that I have also, and you can't see any of that. So anyways, at the beginning of the season, like I said, it was gorgeous. I liked my petunias. They were all small. These were smaller. Also, I didn't realize that they would get this tall and woolly. These were only supposed to get 24 inches tall, but I felt like they've gotten a little bit taller than that. But they do look gorgeous. They do like the heat and the humidity of here in my area of Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8. So anyways, yeah, let's just get these petunias pulled out, and I've got some gorgeous white vincas, and I think the white vincas are gonna play off and have really pretty contrast against all the green that I have in this front garden. So come on guys, and garden with me. So we're just gonna work on this side and work our way down. This is the gorgeous hardy hibiscus that I have here, and it loves this spot because it gets a fair amount of water. But as you can see, like all of these are just kind of spent and done. These were the yellow petunias, and they're just not looking gorgeous anymore. And at the very bottom here, it's just nothing but dead. Can you see that? Like, they're all overgrown and dead. This has hardly any blooms on it whatsoever. And this was the new Super Belle's yellow. So we're just gonna like pull it up from the root and start fresh. Wow, that Gomphrena is really hard to pull out. It must have had pretty strong roots to it. All crazy. And I have some grass that was growing up in here too. So I have my pop-up bag here, and I'm just gonna throw all this stuff in the pop-up bag. Go ahead and try to get as much dirt off of it as I can, because I don't really want to place all of this with fresh dirt. So just to give you an idea, I mean, I'm kneeling down right now, but I am kind of tall. I'm 5'6", and this is what this one Gomphrena looks like right now. I could replant this, but I don't really have anywhere to put it right now, so I'm going ahead. It is an annual, and like I said, if I had just maybe cut it back and kept the roots in there, it may have grown back for me. But if I do that next year, I'm going to make sure that I plant it in a space where it can grow and get tall, and I'm not going to mind the height. There's no snakes underneath there. So I really don't know what I'm going to do with these planters. I could probably just prune everything back right now, and they might still have a good flush come back. I do know that these coleuses are really overgrown, So I definitely want to prune them back. So I don't really have anything to put in these planters right now. So what I think I might do is just prune everything back and give it some really good water-soluble fertilizer from Proven Winners and see if everything will still flush back out before we get a frost. You can see I had some of the dicandra falls in here. I'm just gonna take it back. I'm just going to take everything back up to the planter here. Some of these queen tut that are like kind of falling over, I'm going to go ahead and just prune them back. So this coleus is pretty overgrown. I'm just gonna get in here and cut a little bit of it off, and then I might cut more of it off. That one's not really hurt anything. All right, so this is what we're looking at right now. So I got all the annuals pulled up in the front, and I'll clean my mess up after I get everything planted. And I got the planters all pruned up, and I still need to just prune everything back all the way. So I still have some super bells in there, or calibrachoa. I still have some dicandra falls in there, the lime coleus, and then this is queen tut. So still looks pretty good. And then you could still see some blooms on this one over here. I think this is like lemonade, but you can still see some of the blooms there. The dicandra falls mixed in, and some of the diamond frost snow in there. I had some in the other one, but I don't see it right now. And then of course the queen tut. So this looks a little bit more cleaner to me. I can see my pots now, which I do like. And then you can see my hedge back there. So I need to get all this sprinter boxwoods pruned up. I need to get this pruned up right here, the spiral boxwood. And then I need to prune my Japanese mapleback some. And then these are the vincas that I'm gonna put up here in the front, right here. So I think this contrast is gonna be really pretty and elegant against these boxwoods. And then I have my white trim of the house as well, so that kind of plays off that also. And then you can see my concrete curbing, which you probably can't see most of the year. We did pay to have this in. It is stamped, and they just came and poured it with concrete and then stamped it. So we paid for that service, and we had that around our tree as well. But this is what we're looking at. So I think next I'm going to prune this tree up so I can see my boxwood hedges back there. We're going to prune the boxwood spiral next. And then this is still looking pretty good. This hardy hibiscus, this is very awesome. You can see a bee loving life in there. Look at all the pollen on that bee. Can you see that in my screen? I'm like looking into the sun right here, so it's hard for me to see. But anyways, this hardy hibiscus, which is from Proven Winners, is just really loving this one. And like I said, this one is called Berry Awesome. And then behind it, I have a David Austin rose that is a climber, and that one is called Lady of the Lake. And I do have some spent blooms on that and really long canes. So we need to get in there and prune her up. Let me just show you some of the blooms that I do have. This one's a little bit more white. It's aged out into white. And let's see. I have a cluster up here. So I have some spent blooms on this one, but it gives you an idea of how real pretty and delicate that bloom is right there. Light pink with a little bit of yellow center in it, and then I need to get this deadheaded here. So this one's a really long cane. As soon as I let go of it, it's gonna spring back up. This one is more of a dwarf Japanese maple. It's not gonna get really tall. And if it does, I didn't want it to really hide those windows behind there, so I'm gonna like keep it pruned up to keep it pretty manageable. But like you can see right here, like this is encroaching over onto my spiral boxwood, and I don't really want it to do that. So I'm gonna just prune it back, and hopefully it'll flush up more towards the top by doing that. You can see some real pretty growth right here. So this is what we're looking at right now. So those are the vincas that I'm going to plant. Now that you can see the boxwoods back here, I just trimmed up the spiral boxwoods and I trimmed up the Japanese maple. And then my husband's gonna help me trim these boxwoods up and get them all nice and tidy. As you can see, I got a lot of new growth on them right now. And then I'm gonna spray them for spider mites too, because you can definitely see some of the damage that I had in the past. You can see, you see some of that speckling right there. That is spider mite damage from the past. But this new growth looks really, really good on it. So I moved this planter out and I need to prune that all the way back as well. Just got them away from these boxwoods so we can get these all pruned. How many do I have of it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 7 boxwoods up here in the front to make this small little hedge, and then it kind of takes this little curve right here. So I have Captain Jack's Dead Bug that I'm going to spray for spider mites. And then you could see another tip that I have is that I put down a sheet to collect all these clippings so we didn't have to pick up as much old clippings. So this is the Captain's Jack Dead Bug, and you can see that it's good for spider mites. And we're just going to give it a really good soak. You can see it right here, the speckling right here on this leaf, that is what spider mite damage does. And it can kill a tree, and then it could also like take all of the green out to where you have nothing but white also. So kind of see how it looks like inside this shrub right here. Now that I got everything cleaned up, we're going to plant some more annuals. And these I bought at Home Depot and they look pretty good. I got some at Pikes and some at Home Depot, but the vinca looks still pretty good and it's going to stay small on the small side, so I'm pretty happy with that. These are a white bloom with a hot pink center, And then I bought those at Home Depot. And then at Pike's, I got this variety, and it's called a Cora XDR White Vinca. It looks really pretty and healthy. And I love this foliage with the white against all these boxwoods. I think they're really, really pretty. And to add a pop of color, I'm getting some new petunias. These are not Proven Winners. They're called Super Cow Premium Bordeaux. And I guess that's the color. The Proven Winners Bordeaux is a purple color. Of course, this is more of a, I'm gonna say, maroon color. I thought this color would be really pretty for fall. Would last me a couple months until I'm ready to do something else in here. So in the springtime, I like a nice big flush of tulips in here, and I'll show you pictures of my tulips from last year, and I already got my tulips picked out for this year. And that's another thing that you guys need to do, is go ahead and buy your tulips that you're interested in, even if you have to store them, because the tulips that you love will sell out super fast and you won't be able to find them when it's time to plant them. So anyways, I'm gonna get my power planter out, and I'm not gonna put a lot of fertilizer or anything like that in here. I might give it some water soluble fertilizer just to give it a good start. But I'm gonna get my power planter, and we're gonna real quick knock all these hoes out and get these planted, and then I'm gonna cover it with some fresh mulch, and then I'll give you a little review, and then we'll be done on this front yard. So after a lot of thought and looking back as far as curb appeal, I felt like I had too much tall things in this container. So I have, you know, my holly tree here in the back, I have my Japanese maple, I have my spiral boxwoods, all tall, and then I had all this tall grass in these little containers right here. So in order for me to not take away from my boxwoods, I decided to just go ahead and take all that tall grass out of these containers. And I've got 3 containers here, this one, and then one behind me. And I went ahead and took everything out, and just what I expected. I knew it was going to be really hard and very root bound, and let me show you if I can even pick it up. This is what came out of my small pot that was on the porch right there. Do you see how root bound it is right there? So what I had to do was dig like portions out of it, put it back down, and I had to use my hori knife. Let me show you. Okay, so this is the pot that I took this out, and this is everything that was root bound. So I just tried to cut off as much as I could. But what I had to use, I love this hori knife. It's one of the #1 tools that I use, especially this time of year. But when everything's root bound and you cannot get this out of the container, then you just have to use it to cut through the roots like this. And you just have to make small sections and pull the small sections out like that. And that's how you get all of this out of that container. Because if I didn't have this tool, I would not be able to do that. I would have to depend on my husband, and then he would probably still have to use this tool also because it was that root bound in there. So that's what happens when you have good soil, there's some worms in here, and good plants and good fertilizer, and everything is just all rooted up into that soil. Happy plants. That's what that equals. So now we're going to dispose of this in my compost container, and then I'm going to put some new soil in that container. I already did the one behind me, but next I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to look over my drip. So this is my drip irrigation, and after inspecting this, after I got all the dirt out of it, I only had one emitter out of 3 that was actually working. This was the one that was working, because when I was taking the dirt out, it actually kicked on. So this is my 1/4 inch tubing that came off, and I'll bring the camera a little closer. I have a 1/2 inch tubing into my landscape here. So that's all I did was poked a little hole in it and used my 1/4 inch tubing. So this black tubing is the 1/4 inch tubing that takes something from A to B. And then this copper tubing, or the brown tubing with the emitters in it, is actually the ones that supply the water supply in the drip. So what I'm going to do, since I only have one emitter working, is I'm going to take my Felco pruners and I'm going to cut back into the black tubing right here. And I'm just going to cut all of this off and dispose of this right here. I have some brand new copper tubing, and I like to use at least 5 emitters. I think 5 is pretty good. So we're going to cut 5. So I'm just going to make a cut here and cut this back. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 emitters right there. And then you can't cut right onto the emitter, so you can tell how hard it is right here too. Can you see? That's the emitter, and it's really hard right here. So just come over where it gets skinnier and make a cut. And try to cut it like even. So on one end, we're going to put a stopper, because if we don't, then the pressure is going to come out and it's just going to run straight out. So we don't want to do that. So this is what the little stopper looks like right there. And we're just going to put this on the very end. So if you pay for someone to do this for you, or if you're just now learning, it's pretty easy. You don't have to pay someone to come back out. But that's where the stopper is on the other end. Now on the other end, we want to put a coupler. And this is going to attach to this end. This is what it looks like. And then the black tubing is going to hook up to the other end. So that's what that looks like. You just wiggle it in there. And then on the other end, see, this pot has a drainage hole. So we just brought the tubing up through the drainage hole from the bottom all the way to the top. And you want to kind of make sure that this is out on its side. When you fill the soil up, this could easily fall back down, and you don't want the soil to fall down on it, because then you're going to have to dig it back out. And then on the other end, we'll just wiggle the other end into the black tubing. And this right here will supply our water supply to this container, so I don't have to water it. And I'm going to do the same thing to this one here as well. So you guys know that I love using Proven Winners, but I don't have Proven Winners tool right now. It's really hard for me to find that. I have to go about 40 minutes away. So I got this at my local nursery that's a little bit closer to me. It's called Pike's Nursery. But if I did have a choice, I would have gone to Creekside, or to, there's another nursery further out towards Matthews that has the Proven Winners soil for containers. And that, I really like it. It's really good draining, fluffy soil. So, and you can see in that root bound ball that I just took out how, you know, how much it really liked it. But anyways, I brought 2 bags, and I filled this container. It took a whole entire bag right here. I do like this. Let's see if I can get this away from my toolbox. But it's light, fluffy, and pretty good soil as well. I'm going to put that back in there. I got this full. I'm going to fill this one and then the container behind me. And then we're going to get some of these annuals planted up. So I'm just using my hory knife here and making a cut. Like I said, make sure your drip is not falling down into the container. Okay, so what I did, like I said, at Pikes, I would prefer Proven Winners, but since I don't have Proven Winners and it's late fall, I'm going to go ahead and improvise with these. I really just want these to last me a couple of months until I put my pansies in. But these are a Calibrachoa, same thing as a Super Bell. These take full sun, and it is still an annual, so they're probably not going to make it past frost. But let's see what it says about it. It says vibrantly colored, trumpet-shaped blooms covered cascading foliage all season long. This variety is ideal for growing in hanging baskets and containers, attracts butterflies and hummingbirds. For best results, put in a good quality, well-draining soil and feed regularly with liquid fertilizer. So I can do all those things. So I have a good quality soil that drains really well. And like I said before, Super Bells don't do really good in the ground, but I've seen some different results with that lately, that Proven Winners has been trialing some of their Calibrachoas in the ground. So that's very interesting. So what I'm going to do is just take this out of the container, just squeeze the container a little bit, and I'm going to plant 4 of these in this container, and I got grass to go in the center. This is the little squiggly grass that I got. I just thought it was cute. It's called Twister. It's a corkscrew rush. Sun to part shade. And it looks like a corkscrew, literally. This will only get 12 to 14 inches tall. It says upright glossy green foliage twists and turns to form light spirals, grown for foliage. Performs best in slightly acidic organic rich soil. Well, this one's kind of root bound. It's been in this container for a little while. Now, do you see how dry that is? It's really, really dry. I really don't want to put this in here as dry as this is. The other one were not that dry. So I'm going to get me some water and water this down before I even put it in here, because that will give it a bad start, and I don't want it to give it a bad start. All right, so just giving a little bit of water right here, making sure this is good and wet. I'll even break it up a little bit since it's so root bound. It's still really dry. Sometimes if they're this dry, you can just soak them in a bucket. Just put the whole container in there and soak them for about 20-30 minutes, and it'll soak that water all up. So we're going to drop this right in the middle. And then I'm going to put another Super Bells right here, and right here. Might as well go ahead and water it too. These are called Lia Glaze White. Lia Glaze White. They're pretty healthy. This is called All About Color. You guys might have heard about this one. This is a Pikes carries it, but that's the only other place I've seen that carries that one. I don't know who their grower is. This says Kalamazoo, Michigan. Grown by Wink Greenhouses, Wenke. Kalamazoo, Michigan. My dad, we always ask him where he's going, and he always said Kalamazoo. So it reminds me of my dad. Yes.
How you doing?
I'm good, you?
All right. Hey, I was wondering, our church is New Vision Ministries. We're in a corner, tied to Old Mount Holly Road.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you can give us some advice. We need to beautify our church.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Backyard Blooms with Kim. Can you remember that? Backyard Blooms with Kim?
Okay.
Just message me on there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know if you just heard him, but a guy just rode by and he said he belongs to a church, and he asked me if I would be interested in beautifying his church. You cannot say no to God, right? You do not say no to God. All right, so after you get all these little things tucked in, I've got 5 plants in this one container, including this little woolly thing. I do love it. And then just kind of fill in all around it and make sure there's no roots exposed, which I do not. And then after I get my plants in, I'm just going to wrap this around the container. And then I'm just taking the middle part and just going around the middle plant there. And then I have these landscape hooks that you can just hold them down with. I'm reusing these. They were already in there. All right, now that I've got all 4 of the Calibrachoa plants, which are still super bells, and my little corkscrew grass, then I'm just going to get it all a good watering. I am using my Green Mount hose. I think that's what it was called. Green Mount sent this out to me, and I really do like it. I love the soaker option on it. I'll show you right here, this little soaker option. Or I like the shower one too. So we're going to do the exact same thing to this container right here. We're going to put this corkscrew grass right in the middle of it, and then 4 of the white Calibrachoas, just like we did with this container right here. And I have another container behind me. And after I get all this done, I'll turn the camera around and show you all the results. I do need to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and grab me, I like the Scott's mulch because it's more fine, and I feel like it really does break down into compost. You can see right here how it's like broke down into like real small compost. That's one of my favorite if I'm going to buy something in a bag, or I haven't found anything else that I like better than that. So it's the Scott's Landscape, and of course I do black. But after we get a thin layer of mulch on here, I feel like mulch, even though I don't need a lot in this container, it's like getting fresh new carpet or fresh new flooring or fresh new paint on a wall. It just gives it that fresh, clean look. So yeah, I think it's gonna look really good from as far as curb appeal, and I feel like curb appeal means a lot to any kind of landscape, especially when you live in a subdivision and people are walking by and they just like enjoy looking at your garden, and it puts a great big smile on their face. So it makes them happy, it makes me happy, and it brings just joy. Flowers bring joy to people's life. So I finally made it to Lowe's and I picked me up 3 bags of this Scott's Naturescape. I like this mulch because it breaks down into like more like a compost for me, and it's kind of like a smaller chunks. I really dislike that kind that breaks down like they just chunked up pallets. I really don't like that look. Anyway, so this is my favorite. I know each area is going to be different, so you might have Scott's in your area and then some people may not, and then you may have a different kind that you like in your area as well. But as far as me at going to Lowe's or Home Depot, this is my favorite. I'm going to put a small coat onto this front landscape, and then I'm going to bring the camera around and bring you a little closer up to show you the final results. So this is what it looks like from the curb. I think it has better curb appeal. We can see our boxwoods. We can see the spiral boxwoods better. I feel like it's got a more formal look. Tell me guys what you think. I think the vinca looks nice. The reddish maroon petunias look fallish. So let's come a little closer. The fresh mulch just gives it that added finish look. So I do like this deep color of the petunias here. And I feel like the white vinca gives it that added contrast, along with the white super bells, and that curly grass, that corkscrew grass looks great. And I have it all hooked up to drip there, and this is getting drip as well. My drip runs right around in there, and then it kind of swirls around those boxwoods there. I have regular white vincas with a little bit of tint of yellow in the middle. And then I have the hot pink in the middle as well, and that kind of plays off this color right here. These vincas have really good foliage, and I think in the next months we have September, October, and November for them to still continue to grow. So I feel like they'll fill out nicely by the end of the season, and then towards November we can put in our tulips and violas or pansies or whatever I choose to do, but that's what I usually go with, is violas or pansies. And then I'll put my tulips all right around in here, and then I interplant it with my pansies or violas. I haven't chose what I'm going to do, but my next video I already have all my tulips picked out, so I'm going to go over all those with you. And keep in mind that you need to start like looking for tulips right now, because when it's time to plant them, they're going to be gone. So you need to prepare and plan ahead when it comes to spring bulbs, because there is nothing more joyful than having all those spring tulips come after the dullness of winter. There's the spiral boxwoods, and then we got these boxwoods right here. These are the sprinter boxwoods. We like to keep them right at 2 feet. And then I pruned up the Japanese maple. Pruned that back just a little bit. This is the hardy hibiscus, very awesome. And then you can see the roses up there as well. This is Lady of the Lake. It's a climbing rose, and she is very vigorous, and I have to keep her in check and keep her pruned up. I have 2 in this area, which I probably only needed 1. have a camellia here that has tons of buds, so we're excited about that. That'll give me some color in the winter. And I just love the formal look of a sprinter boxwood altogether. I hope this video is inspiring, and I'm going to ask you to please like, share, and subscribe. I have about 95% of the people right now that watch my videos that have not subscribed, and it is free to subscribe. That's all that it will do, will alert you when I have a video. I try to have a video that will come out every Tuesday and possibly most Thursdays if I have enough time during the week. So make sure you stay tuned and watch my next upcoming videos. I went to my neighbor's house, Bonnie, and we planted up some fall containers, so make sure you watch that. And then I'm going to talk about spring bulbs in my next upcoming videos. So till next time, bye friends.